But I do challenge you, Nigel Saunders of the Bonsai Zone, what can you do with 50 Canadian dollars? I'd like to see what you can do. Can you beat this, my man?
So today I'm going to be taking the tree out of the pot. I'm going to try and use the soil that's in the pot. I didn't buy soil. I could have. I had money left over to buy soil, but I thought this soil seems to be draining well, and I think it has enough volume to fill this small bonsai pot. So let's begin the work today. Step number one, I'll get the tree out of the pot. So here I go, I'll loosen it up. Carefully lift it out. There you go. So lots of roots in here. They look good and healthy. They smell good and healthy, so that's a good sign. Because I'm going to reuse this soil, I better get a tray so I can capture that soil and put it in my pot. For this challenge, you're allowed to use your own bonsai tools. You can use used wire if you need to wire the tree up. And if you use screens for the bottom of your pot, you're allowed to use screens. So I've got some used screens right over here. And if I need wire, I've got some used wire over here too. So I'm going to start by combing out the root base. All right, here I go. I'll start in the center of the tree and comb out in a radial fashion. This soil looks really good. It's nice and porous, free draining. There's pine chunks in it. It'll grow well in this soil, the tree. I think someone was laying an egg back there. There's a lot of kerfuffle. So we're getting down to the root base here. It's very interesting. It's quite thick, like on this side. I'm quite happy with it. I might be able to raise it in the pot to get a little more trunk. As long as I don't have any undercutting. Okay. So you can see it, where the branches come out, it's a little bit thick, and then it goes kind of normal thickness, and then it flares out at the root base too. So I think kind of a view like that's quite nice. It looks fairly thick, the whole trunk, whereas this view it kind of tapers in, has a bit of a waist. Or, you know, I can still bury it so that these multi-trunks kind of come out from the soil surface. There's a lot of possibilities for different styles with this tree. I'll get the root base washed first, and then we'll come in and do a bit of root pruning. Here is a look at the roots now. So you can see, I think, you know, the true root system starts here. So this is trunk here. It's just buried deeply in the pot. So I think, you know, I'll do a bit of root pruning. This can go in the bottom of the pot, and I'll raise it up a bit. And then, you know, maybe over the next few years I can just keep repotting it a slightly higher each time, and I suppose a little more trunk and maybe get some surface roots showing. It sure is nice to be able to enjoy an iced lemonade on this hot and humid day. That really beat that Texas heat. Cheers, Carlos. Here's my receipt from the store just to prove I was under the $50. It came to $44.06 after taxes. So I'm going to get the pot prepared now. So I've got a sticker to take off the back side here. Like that. I'll stick it on the bottom. And there's one on the inside here I can remove too. I'll stick that on the bottom too. No, I won't. I'll throw that one away. So I need to get drainage screens in here and a base layer of soil. My used bit of window screening seems to fit in there just perfectly. So I'll use that as my screen. I'll add a bit of soil to the bottom of the pot. So just a sprinkling. And then I'll position the tree in the pot. I will be pruning the tree down in height. It's too tall, but I'll wait till after it's planted to do that. I was looking at the pot This side is very nice. This side has a dimple in the clay, so I'm going to use this as the front of the pot. Now, I've got to do a little root pruning. There's some long roots coming off the bottom here. I just want to kind of equalize the root system, balance it. So the heavier roots will get pruned back, like that. And there's a few roots that'll be aerial roots. They'll be sticking out of the soil, so I'll just leave those. But I'm just going to prune a few roots off the bottom, just so I can get it a little lower in the pot. Maybe I'll trim that one back a bit more and this one. So that way I can get it to the right height in the pot now. So now I can position the tree. So I've got to find the front of the tree. From this view, I've got kind of a slim trunk, and then it fans out and it thickens up quite a bit here. Looks quite nice. There's nothing wrong with that. This view here, the trunk is about the thickest. It kind of has a bit of an S shape to it. I think that's a pretty good front view. You can see the aerial roots to the one side. There's kind of a major trunk line coming forward. So I think that should be the front of the tree. So I'm going to turn the pot around and I'll position the tree now. And you can see that the tree is heavier on this side. It's got a small branch on this side, heavier on this side, so I want to offset it this direction in the pot, like that, so it looks more balanced. So that's what I'll do. So at that height in the pot, you can see a lot more trunk on it, which is kind of nice. Makes it look more tree-like and less bush-like. So I'm just arranging the aerial roots here. I think that's a good front for the tree. It's a good planting height and a good position in the pot. So I'll fill it in with soil now. So here I go. And I think I'll have lots of soil left over. I use my root rake and kind of work the soil into the roots. When I go to water the tree, we'll see how well the soil drains. I think it'll drain quite well. It has sand in it. It's nice and porous. I don't think there'll be a problem with drainage. So the tree's standing up by itself now in the pot, which is always nice. So I'm just working more soil into the pot here. Break up some of these bigger pine chunks, pine bark chunks. So I want my soil level just below the lip of the pot, so when you water it, it doesn't run off. It kind of goes into the pot, so you don't waste water. So I think this is looking quite good. I'm just making sure the soil is all in there. A little more at the front here, or the back, I guess that is. And I'll see if I can find some moss to put on the surface here too. So I've got to leave some room for, you know, a small layer of moss. That'll really make it look nice. Okay, I think that's in the pot quite nicely. So I'm going to clean up a bit and then we'll water the tree. Here's a look at my leftover soil. So I had lots of soil left over. I'll put the rest in the garden. All right, I'll get the tree on the turntable. And we'll take a closer look at it. Here's a look at the tree. You're looking at the front view. So I'll rotate it around to the right-hand side, to the back view, to the left-hand side, and back to the front. I'll give the tree a watering, and then we'll come in and prune the top. Now, if only I had a nice watering can. wait a minute, I do have one. There's a look at my birthday watering can. It's got the screen in the top to filter out debris. It's got a handle for tipping up here. So this is just to stop the can from tipping over. It's like a little foot down here. It's really nice. Leszek called it my C3PO watering can. But it's just beautiful. So I'm going to let it get the green patina on it, and you can see there's already, it's getting a bit of patina already, and that'll increase, and over the years it'll turn to that nice copper oxide color. Except where I handle it, it'll always kind of stay the nice copper color, shiny. Let's get the watering can filled up with rainwater and a micro dose of fertilizer. I'm adding a micro dose of 20-20-20 fertilizer. So I'll just add that in the can here. Like that. Stir it up. Put my screen back. And I'm ready to water. You can see it drains almost right away. Nice. I'm going to start pruning the tree now. The shorter I get the tree, the thicker the trunk will look. So I want to get it as short as reasonably possible. So I'm looking at the tree from the front. There's a little bit of deadwood to clean up here, out front. Just going to prune that off, like that. There's a branch here. There's one that's fanning out, a smaller one, and there's the top which is thicker. I'm going to take the top off, like this. Reducing the height of that branch, getting more movement to it, and more taper. I'll also prune the tip off this branch to kind of shorten it a bit, like that. All these clippings that I'm removing from the tree can be planted and they'll root and grow. On this side, there's a dead stump up here, so I can prune that away, keeping my branch that's fanning outwards. There's one on the inside I'll remove, a living branch. And there's another one here. You can see there's one growing between the two major trunk lines. I'll get rid of that. So everything's fanning outwards and flowing outwards. There's a branch here. If you look, I've got my two major trunks, and then there's one that grows kind of from the inside of this branch and crosses the main trunk. I'm going to remove that. Like that. So you can see where I moved it right here. There's one here, again growing in between two major trunks. I'll remove that. It's just cluttering that area up. Makes it look more like a bush rather than a tree. Now I've got a whole bunch of branches growing here. I've got to decide what I want to do in that area. I've got a little short one out front between these two branches. I think I'll remove that. Get a bit of negative space between the branches so they're not all bunched together. So that one's going to come out. Like that. So you can see it opened up a little bit of space between here. Now I still have a lot of branches on the inside here that I could clean out. I think it's just too many. There's a couple of branches growing on the inside here. I'll remove those. They're just cluttering up all that negative space. Again, making it more bush-like instead of being more tree-like. So that cleaned that up a bit. So I've got my main trunk line here. I'm looking at it. I've got a big, thick, tall one in the middle. And then I've got it subdividing with a lot of branches coming out front here. I could remove that entire thick trunk off at the back, reducing the height of the tree down to something quite short. I think that's a good opportunity to get more taper, reduce the height of the tree. So this whole top trunk has to come off. So I've got to get in there with my branch cutters and see if I can get that whole top removed. So there's a branch out the back here, this one that's coming off of it. I'll get rid of that first. So I'll come in here like this. Take that off like that. So that's a good cutting. Okay. So now I'm going to see if I can come in with my branch pruners. I'll just take a rough cut at first until I can see what's going on. There's a lot of branches in the way still, but okay, here I go. I think I can prune it off. Just need to complete the cut with some scissors. They couldn't quite reach the whole diameter of the trunk. There it is. So there's a big cutting coming off the top. So that'll really reduce the height of my tree and get more taper in it too. So let me have a look at it. Yeah. So I've got to clean that cut up. I've got to come in and try and reduce that back. So I'll nibble away at it. Okay. I've got a nice flush cut in there. Just clear out some of my wood debris. Get it out. There it goes. I'll show you a close-up of that cut point. All right, let's fly in here so you can see right in there. There's where I cut that big trunk away. I'm looking at the trunk line and you can see it comes up and divides from 1 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 trunks. So I want to reduce that, simplify it a bit. So I'm looking out front, I'm looking for my best branches, the ones that flow the nicest. So I want these ones that are up front, and it divides from 1 into 2 branches here quite nicely. So I think I want to remove some of the other smaller ones. So I'm going to remove that one that's kind of climbing up the middle here. So that's going to come off like that. That one's gone. And then I'm trying to decide between these 2 branches here. So this one's more forward, but it's also more vertical. The one over here kind of splays outwards a bit. And if I have this, keep this one, it's growing from the exact same point as this branch. So I think I'd be better to keep the one that's slightly higher. It's offset a bit more, not so vertical. So I'll get rid of this one out front. Even though, you know, this one will leave a scar, but. So here I go. I got to be careful not to cut the other branch away. Like that. So there's what it looks like now. So you'll see a scar, but they're nicer branches. So these upright branches, they've been pruned here and they're resprouting, but they're still too high. So I'm going to reduce them back in height to, I think this one to here. And the other one, a little higher to here. So that's what it looks like now. Reducing the whole height of the tree. Now there's a big tall one at the back here, which isn't bad. It's not a bad trunk line, this one. I'm wondering now if I should keep the branches off this side and maybe remove this one, keeping this as my trunk line. I think that would look good. I think this one's kind of, it splays out, but it's kind of encroaching on the branch over here. So I'm going to remove this. It'll make the trunk more visible. I think it'll look better. So here I go. Bit of a drastic change here to the tree. Yeah, that looks much better. I'm going to clean this area up now. So I'm just cleaning up this area as much as I can, getting rid of any bulges. I'm going to prune up the tallest trunk now, getting it to its height. So I wanted the tallest trunk, so I'm going to go back right to here, like that. So there's the height of the tree now. I think that looks really good. I think that's a nice height for this tree. So now I want to clean up all these branches coming here. There's just too many. It looks really, really crowded and not flowing. So that's what I'll work on next. So I think what I've got to do, it's still too crowded. I could take out this middle one, keep the one over here and here, so they have some separation. I think that'll look good. I'm going to try that. I'm going to take out this middle one. Big step. So here I go. Like that. So now you can see I've removed that middle one there. And what else needs removing? I think this one here, this one. So I'll keep the smaller one and the one over here. So that one's coming off now. That's gone. So now you can see what it looks like. It's much more open. There's still a lot of small branches at the back here. Let me have a look. Like that. Now I've got to look at these back branches. I have a feeling they're too high. I want the emphasis on this main trunk as the tallest. So I've got to prune these back ones. So you can see back here, I've got one fanning to the outside here, but there's one on the inside I can remove, a tall one. So I'll get rid of that one. Like that. So that's gone. You see how it simplifies that back branch? So you have to kind of imagine I've cut off this main trunk, so it'll eventually have a bit of a canopy up here, which will look really nice, I think. I think I'm pretty close to finishing the pruning. I'm going to come out front and have a look at it. I'm out front having a look at the design, and it's got quite a lean to it. I wonder if it would look better a little more upright. I think I'm going to try that, change the planting angle a bit. And I'm just looking to see what else. I still have like maybe too many branches in this area. I'm going to leave it for now, but I think that might be a future thing to reduce these branches. There's just too many in that one spot. So we'll see how this main trunk heals, and then maybe I can take this one off in the future. It should look okay. So I'm just going to try changing the planting angle now. All right, here I go. So let me look at the front. Just kind of adjust it. Yeah. I think it'll look better like that. So I'm going to have to... I think I'll use the scissors actually. And just work that soil in a little more. Maybe not the scissors. Yeah, that's looking much better. See the front now? Okay, I'm going to try and find some moss to put on top of it. Moss is going to be in short supply because we haven't had any rain in over a month, or very little. And yeah, it's just not available. So I might have to steal a bit of moss from one of my other trees. Let's head in the greenhouse here and see if I can find some moss, a tree that's willing to give up some moss. I've got some nice moss at the base of my ficus here. I could use some from around the back. I mossed that up for the Toronto show, so I don't really need the moss anymore on that. All right, I've got some more moss that I can place back here. That's a good patch. And then some more back here, and I think that's enough. It'll fill in kind of over the next upcoming months. I'll water it well, and the moss should thrive. All right, I'm trimming the moss now, so I'll just prune off the moss that's overhanging, the moss that's a little too high. pruning it down in height, trimming it. Here is a look at my tree for the $50 challenge. So there's the front. I'll rotate it around to the right hand side. The back and the left hand side. And back to the front. Let's fly in now. Have a look at the tree. So I think it'll look quite different once it starts growing again and filling out from all those branches I pruned. But it's certainly a nice looking bonsai with a lot of potential. And I think the pot suits it really nicely. I think for $50, it's looking pretty good. I finished my $50 bonsai challenge and I'm very happy with the result. The next person I'm going to call out is Marysol from the YouTube channel Bite Bonsai. She's way up north in Thunder Bay. So best of luck, Marysol. I hope you take on the challenge. The $50 bonsai challenge is all in good fun. There's no winners or losers. It's just to have fun. So check out Carlos's video on his YouTube channel, Bonsai YEAH, and see what he did with his $50 American. I'll put the tree in the greenhouse to let it recover and grow. So here I go. I'll put it right here beside the cuttings that are just in water. So grow, little tree, grow. I want to thank everyone for my 60th birthday wishes, people who contributed to my presents, and most of all Jay, who organized the surprise birthday party. So cheers, everyone. Get better, Justin Bieber. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.